Okay, welcome. Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name's Steve Woody. I'm going to be helping Claire this evening to just maintain this webinar, make sure everything goes well. Just before Claire comes on, I just wanted to say a couple of things. I know that obviously this webinar tonight is regarding the AdWords. And I know that she's done lots of training. I know that she's ranked as the #1 trainer. She's actually the only fully qualified trainer with what's a PGCE teaching degree. So she's very, very knowledgeable in this subject. And she's worked with lots of different people, florists, locksmiths, accountants, clothing shops. If you name it, in the different regions of work, Claire has adapted AdWords so that it benefits everybody. And so she's going to come on in a moment and she's going to share her knowledge with you, and you're going to watch a presentation. And in about 2 minutes time, I'll bring Claire on so she can start this webinar. Hello,
Good
Claire.
evening, everyone. Am I on, Steve?
Hello, Claire. You there?
Yes, I am. Apologies. Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Over to you. I will sit here in the background, and good luck. I'm really looking forward to listening to this presentation.
That's fantastic. Thanks very much for that, Steve. Right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this webinar, Double Your Results from AdWords in under 90 minutes. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to attend this session today. Do feel free to type hellos, etc. into the chat box that you can see, because we will be monitoring that, so we will get to see your messages. So do feel free to type in chat messages throughout the session. We'll be taking around about an hour, possibly more or possibly less. It depends on the questions that you'll be asking at the end. And we will just get ready to jump now into the session. So here we go. Okay, so apologies, I forgot to mention then, the slides will be available for those who remain until the end of the session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link up that you can then type in, that you'll be able to download the slides from, that I'll pass on to you at the end of the session. Okay, so to start off with, I just wanted to let you know that at the end of tonight's session, I am going to give you an offer for a product which is called Web Leads Unlimited, but only at the end of the presentation, and only when I've fully delivered on the promises that I've made to you all. But I do want to tell you that the product you're going to be hearing about at the end of the presentation is called Web Leads Unlimited, where I show people exactly how to set up and manage their AdWords accounts to deliver leads through their websites. So, okay. You're in the right place today if you own any small business and you're struggling to get affordable leads from your website. So you might have been using, you might have a new website, you might have been using AdWords for a short period of time, you might have been using it for a longer period of time, you might be spending a lot of money on AdWords, you might be making a good return, you might be making a bad return, you might be suspecting that actually Google's making more of your money than you would like to, and you would like to get some of that money back. You might be an internet marketer and you'd like to figure out why AdWords keeps taking your cash and how to sell your products online. You might be interested in becoming AdWords qualified yourself and offering AdWords services yourself. So AdWords management is a really good source of income. It's a really, really growing career path that lots of people choose to use. So if that's the case, then you're definitely in the right place. Okay, so here's what you're going to learn by hanging around this evening. So you're going to learn the common mistakes, so the 3 mistakes that most small business owners make in their AdWords accounts, and how to fix them. You're going to learn how to stop leaking cash. So what you have to do every week, the one essential thing that you must do every week in your AdWords account to stop leaking cash. So that my number one top tip for you that you need to be doing. I'm going to show you how to create amazing adverts and some very weird little tips that show you how to create great AdWords adverts. So my top performing tips, the ones that work time after time, that actually make performing adverts. And then this is one of my favorites, how to stop competitors. You can actually shut your competitors out from clicking your AdWords adverts, and you can actually prevent them from ever seeing your adverts ever again, so they actually think that you've stopped advertising. So that's going to be one of the other things we're going to be learning later this evening. So to start off with, I'm hoping that we've got some people who are willing to use the chat box now. I'm just wondering if you can confirm to me that this is why you came today. Can you just type in yes if this is the type of thing that you want to learn? And then I would love to be able to see some of your responses in the chat box. Okay, Steve, for some reason I can't seem to see the responses that are being typed in the chat box. Can you see any in there?
I'm just going to get onto that now. If you want to continue just for a moment, I'll have a look at that. Some questions are coming through. I just want to make sure everyone's seeing your screen. They're saying, some are saying they can, some are saying they can't see your slides. So I'm just checking into this now. Can we just check everybody? Okay. Can I ask everyone to raise their hands if they can see the slides, please? Fantastic. So I've got a large response there. A lot of people are seeing the slides. I'll have a quick look into this now and see if I can fix this for you, and I'll get straight back to you.
Yes, okay, no problem. So it sounds like we might be having a slight technical problem there. So I'm just going to hope that this is the type of information that you all came along for. This is what you registered to see me talk about. So let's get ready now to move on. And I'm just going to start off by telling you some of my background and how I got to where I am today. So to start off with, I did my first degree from 1995 up to 2000. And I did that in math, statistics and computing, which then stood me in very good stead later on. I then went to work in medical statistics using Excel spreadsheets, using processes, doing very boring waiting list information. That was between 2000 and 2003. And I then went to train in 2003 as a teacher. And then I taught IT and business in 3 different secondary schools. Later on in 2006, I then started teaching some of the parents, and I did that after school. And I really, really enjoyed that. So I started investigating training adults, and I then started freelancing, being a freelance trainer, which turned out to be a lot better paid than teaching, funnily enough. So I was paid £200 per day to train adults in Microsoft packages, but as a freelance trainer, I was only getting £200. I soon found out that the company was charging me out at £900 per day. So I then made the decision to set up my own training company and get the whole of the £900, which seemed a far better option, as you can probably imagine. Okay. So from there, from training adults, Computer Training Solutions was born. So that was the name of the company that I set up to start with. And to start with, I set up my very first website in Microsoft front page. That, no laughing. I appreciate that was a very, very horrible platform, but I tell you what, it worked. Funnily enough, it worked. And I devoured all the online information I could get my hands on. So I just read pages and pages on the internet. I did loads of courses. I found out everything I could about how to get selling on the web, and that was from 2006. And then my first clients were the RAC, who came through and they booked 12 courses in one go. And that was it, really. I was totally hooked on it. I fell in love with web marketing. I started improving the site and the AdWords campaign, and soon we were spending £2,000 a month on AdWords, and I was hooked. I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with AdWords. I then grew the training company to 4 training centres across the UK, and we were holding 30 courses a month within 12 months, and we hit a monthly turnover of 30,000 a month within the first year. So it was, AdWords gave us a really, really good launch platform, and I was very, I absolutely loved it. I was literally couldn't have found a better way of advertising it. It really worked for us. But my next step was then setting up courses, AdWords courses. So this was in early 2008. I created the first public courses. By the public courses, I mean that they were the only scheduled courses that the public could book on to attend. And I developed them using my teaching background to develop the course, the manual, and all the materials that I would need to train small business owners in exactly what they would need to know. And they were then held bi-monthly, so that was in London and Bristol. And to date, I've trained, lots of other web marketing agencies, some of which were startups, such as Gold Search, who are really successful now. Lavora, I trained about 4 years ago. I don't believe Lavora are going anymore. RH Advertising, and lots of others. I trained in marketing departments of larger companies, including Fast Hosts and Names, who I'm still working with today. I've trained e-commerce website teams, including Wheelies and David Shuttle, and then lots and lots of other industries. So where I trained the business owner themselves, and that was all different kind of industries. So florists, locksmiths, builders, etc., etc. But I was using my experience to make sure that I knew business owners would get to learn exactly what they needed to get AdWords working. So that was the key, really. And the next step was I then started writing books on AdWords, and back in 2009 I published my first book, which was Successful Google AdWords Strategies, which is very out of date these days. It's actually no longer in print because obviously AdWords changes so quickly. And then in 2012 I wrote How to Get Selling Fast on AdWords. I then recorded a 4 DVD set, an AdWords DVD set, back in 2009. And then before I knew it, I started receiving lots of referrals for people who wanted AdWords managed for them. So it was no longer about the training or writing books. It was actually about inquiries and people managing it for them. So then what happened is I set up my next company. Computer Training Solutions company I just mentioned is managed today by my mum, so I just wanted to fill you in on the history with that one. And I then set up my next company, which was Marketing by Web. And from 2009 to 2012, I single-handedly built the agency up to 65 monthly clients and took on 7 staff who were mainly graduates that I then trained myself in-house. So obviously they attended my courses, my AdWords courses, my SEO courses, social media courses, etc. So I trained them all myself. And we were #1 in Google for a number of really good terms, so we were getting lots and lots of leads. But most importantly, I developed some really good, really solid processes that we followed, and they were actually given to each new starter as a manual. So they were how to do an AdWords setup, how to do management each week, and what reports to actually do for clients. And I then sold that agency back in November last year to concentrate on the consulting that I'm doing today, and then also the training side of things. So that's where I am today. Okay, so today I am very proud that I'm the top ranked AdWords trainer in Google worldwide due to the fact that I've been training in AdWords for such a long period of time. I'm working just with a handful of clients these days, so with people like Names and Register 365, who are part of the same Dada brand, as well as other marketing agencies, some of which I've signed NDAs with, so obviously I can't mention all of them. And typically these days I work with larger budgets of generally around about 50,000 per month upwards. And I'm also developing my training courses to reach more small business owners. Okay, so let's get ready to get started. To start with, what I wanted to do was just ask you to do a poll, which I'm hoping that Steve's going to be able to activate for us. If we could just activate the poll, it should say poll open. And I just want to ask you what you currently spend on AdWords, if you're spending anything. So if you're currently using AdWords, what is your current spend, the amount of money you're giving Google on a monthly basis? Okay, so we'll just leave it open just for a few seconds. Okay, so we've got 50% of you saying that you're not spending anything at the moment, so 50% of you are new to AdWords. That's really interesting. Okay, 13% of you are spending over £1,000 a month. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Okay, so we've got 14% of you spending less than £100, 20% of you spending between £100 and £500, and then 7% of you spending between 501 and 1,000. Right, okay, really interesting. Oh, by the way, I just wanted, I meant to tell you how many of you there are on here at the moment. We've got 114 of you on here at the moment, so that's probably why the chat box, once you've all started using it, is going to be fairly busy if you started chatting. And do feel free to chat into it, because we would like to see your comments and what you're thinking about the event. Okay, so if we just close that poll up now, it looks like Steve's done that already. That's lovely. Okay, so let's get ready to jump in. Okay, so we're now going to start off by looking at the top 3 mistakes that Google AdWords users make. To start with, the number 1 mistake is, let's imagine that someone's done a search in Google for a florist in their area, in this case Bristol. Now, what should happen is that every time Google finds the matching word, it puts it in bold. So what I want you to look at is the fact that here, where it says florists in Bristol, can you see the cream colour box, the top 3 sponsored results just here? I want you to look at the fact that every time Google has found the word florists, or in, or Bristol, it's placed it in bold. Okay, so can you just see that? So it says florists in Bristol in that first result from Serenata Flowers. We've got florists in Bristol from Edith Wilmot. Florists in Bristol from Interflora. Can you see how they're all in bold? That's because it's matched the keywords that I have typed, florists in Bristol. You notice that it's also putting it in bold the word flowers, so it is synonyms as well. Now, Google got to being the number 1 search engine in the world because it delivers the most relevant results, and it wants to stay that way. So by placing the matching words in bold, it's showing people just how relevant it is. Now, by Google placing the matching words in bold, it gets a higher click-through rate. That means the percentage of people that see it that click it. So click-through rate means the percentage of people that see it that click it. So this in turn means Google makes more money because it's getting more clicks. So Google wants relevance to keep its number 1 position, and Google wants relevance because it then gets to make more money. So your advert must match the keywords. You cannot have just 1 or a handful of adverts for hundreds of keywords. So you can't have just 1 advert and expect hundreds of keywords to be able to match that 1 advert. So how can that 1 advert that you've got fit all of your keywords? So this is very, very common. Lots of people have lots of keywords all jumbled in together, and they're expecting this 1 advert to do the work for all of these keywords. It's just not possible. So instead, your advert must be created to match the keyword. So you have to break your account up. And ideally, you would do that. Let's go and look at the next slide. So what should happen is that Google wants to see each keyword in the advert somewhere, normally the heading. Okay, so that's my recommended place to put it, so that it can put it in bold. So it can, when it matches it, it can put it in bold. Your click-through rate will be higher. That's the percentage of people that see it that click it. You get greater relevance. So it's better for you, better for the users, better for Google. More cash for Google, more cash for you. Google is happy. It's as simple as that. You ideally need to split your account up so that you have fewer groups with fewer adverts, with ideally just 1 or 2 keywords matching each advert. It really is as simple as that. Okay, now on the same theme, The next thing that people do, very similarly, is they try and jumble in a big long list of keywords. So we've imagined here that somebody for a children's wear retailer has put all of these keywords in the same group. So baby wear, children, parenting, baby care. So all of those words, we're imagining that they have put them all in one group together with just one advert. But how can this one advert match all those keywords? So you need to split the keywords up. So you can't make the advert do the work. That was mistake number one. You can't make one advert do the work for all of the keywords, and you can't have all the keywords together in just one ad group. So what should happen is every keyword should have its own ad group as far as possible. Now, I appreciate that this is going to be a lot of work for some people, where you've got a lot of keywords that you want to bid upon. But in an ideal world, each keyword would have its own ad group so that each keyword can then have a matching advert. So let's look at this example. So what I do is I have the keyword, I then call that, whatever the keyword is, I then call that the ad group name as well to make it easier to organize the account. And I then also put that same keyword in the title of the advert so that, of course, it gets greater click-through rate because it's going to be in bold. So we can see that in the example at the bottom. So we've got AdWords training would be the keyword, AdWords training would be the ad group name, and then AdWords training, as you can see, would be in the title of the advert. Okay, so ideally that's the best way of managing it. Okay, so the steps that you would need to take to correct this mistake are: you split up your AdWords account into lots of smaller groups, as small as possible, really. And as with mistake number one, aim for just one keyword phrase per ad group. So you'll notice that I use keyword and keyword phrase interchangeably, by the way. So AdWords training I count as a keyword. Some people might call that a keyword phrase. So keyword doesn't necessarily always refer to just one word. Now, at the same time, you have to make sure that you don't make mistake number one. So include the keywords as the heading in each advert. So make sure that you actually split it up. So make sure that you've got the keywords in the heading, split the keywords up as far as you can. Okay, so mistake number three is not looking at quality score. So quality score is a score between 1 and 10 that belongs to each of your keywords, where 10 is the best and 1 is the worst. The quality score is one of the most important metrics in a campaign. All of your keywords will have one of these scores, you just might not have seen it yet. So you cannot see it by default, you need to actually turn it on. To do this in your account, you choose the Keywords tab, which I've shown you in the first image at the top, and you then go to Columns and Customize Columns. You then choose Attributes, find Quality Score, and then you just add it, and you can then see a new column that's appeared. Right, okay, now I'm just going to swap to AdWords. Let me just end the show. I'm just going to swap into AdWords. I'm just going to go and show you this live. Okay, let me just check you can all see my screen still. Yeah, I'm just looking at the view that you can see. You can still see it. Okay, so if you wanted to see the quality score, then I'll just talk you through what I just did. I went to Keywords, the Keywords tab within AdWords. I went to Columns. I went to Customize Columns. And then in Attributes here, where it says Qual Score, that's short for quality score, you then just click Add. As you can see, mine's already had it added here. And then to apply it, you would then need to make sure that you click on the Apply button. So I'm just going to click on Cancel there. Okay, now what should then happen is, I'm just going to try and get my screen so you can see it a minute. It's going to zoom. Okay, right now, unfortunately, let me just try and minimize the page. Just trying to get it so that you can see the keywords tab, the quality score tab, apologies. So what should then happen is, let's just drag that out a bit so you can see that a bit better. Okay, so each of your keywords will then have a quality score that's between 1 and 10. Okay, so one of the top mistakes people make is not looking at quality score. Now, at the moment, that probably doesn't mean a lot to you because you might tend to think, right, okay, what's quality score used for? Okay, let's just go and have a look, see what was used for. Oh, sorry, I do apologise. Right, what slide are we on? Okay. So let me now go and show you what quality score would be used for and what the difference it is that it makes. This is a diagram that I've taken from WordStream. So you can see in this diagram that if we have a quality score of 5, right, I'm just going to try and turn the highlighter on a minute. If we have a quality score of 5, 5 is the standard. And that is the default. That's what you should be aiming for. But look what happens if you start to increase your quality score. You get a discount of every click. That stands for your cost per click versus if your quality score equals 5. So if your quality score is 6, you get a discount of 16.7% on every single click. If you have a quality score of 7, you get a discount of 28.6%. But look what happens if you get to 10s, 50% discount on every single click. Now just imagine the difference that that could make to your entire account. If you're currently paying £10 per click, by getting your quality score to 10, you'll only be paying £5 per click. People tend to totally overlook this factor because they don't understand it, but it's the most important cost element in your entire account. Apologies, I better put that one, the highlighter on, and that won't let me go to the next one. Don't you just love live webinars when they do this? Okay. I just need to turn the pointer arrow off. That's better. Figured it out. Okay, but how do I actually increase my quality score? Now, the main factor for quality score is relevance and click-through rate. Okay, so that click-through rate that I keep talking about and that relevance that I keep talking about, they're the most important factors. So you need to do what I've already mentioned. Match your advert closely to each keyword, ideally creating a single ad group for each keyword. What will then happen is your click-through rate will increase because, of course, your advert will closely match the keyword. Your quality score will increase immediately. So we've had people on courses before where the quality score, even by the time they've finished the course for the day, all they've done is created lots more relevant groups with relevant adverts. Their quality score has gone from 4s or 5s right up to 7s, 8s, even by the time of the end of the day on the course. What will then happen is, as a result of quality score, your costs will come down and your conversions will go up. Conversions meaning the number of leads or sales that you get. And the reason for this is, of course, your adverts are seen to be more relevant, so you'll get more leads as a result from the people that are searching at the end of the day. The more relevant they see your advert to be, the more leads you're going to get. It really is, as simple as that. Okay, so just to let you know, quality score is not, so this is a big question that I get asked a lot. Quality score is not hugely affected by the page that you send people to on the website, otherwise known as landing pages. I'm asked all the time if people should improve their landing pages, rewrite them, include the keywords, making sure that the landing pages look more relevant. No, no, no. Okay, you do not need to worry about your landing pages to improve quality score. Google just does a quick check to see if your site's dodgy, and that's it. Right, okay, now we're just going to stop there. Looks like we've got a couple of questions coming through. So Steve, have you got any questions there for me that people have been asking?
Hi Claire, yep, well done so far. It's fantastic. I'm getting a lot of questions through, so I'm going to just ask a couple of them for you. Not everyone's got a name, unfortunately, but one says, do you know why the quality score still doesn't increase even though I followed all of these points? Does the history of a keyword have with Google play a role in as well as the history of the account?
It does, yes. Quality score is also affected by several other factors. So there is something called account quality score. So sometimes if your account has been running for a really long time with a low quality score, 4 or lower, it can actually make sense to start again because your account quality score is really low. And as well as that, in some marketplaces, everybody, the whole marketplace has a very low quality score. So for example, if you try and bid on SEO of any term, so if you try and bid on search engine optimization terms, it's so competitive because people are searching and nobody wants to click because they're actually just looking for where they're falling on the page organically. Basically, it means that the whole market is, nobody wants to click it. Google recognizes that the whole industry, nobody wants to click the adverts. So it means that the industry itself is affected by a low quality score. So that's one example. That is very rare though. It's more common to actually get a low account quality score where you actually need to set yourself up again with a new account. Any other questions?
Fantastic. Yeah, I've got another one here that says, how do you automate putting one keyword per ad group? Because doing it manually will be quite a headache. Is there a way that you can automate the process?
There are some ways that I've developed of creating it by using spreadsheets, spreadsheet tools, etc. So there are ways of doing it, but they are fairly complex. But I will be explaining more on that later.
Fantastic. And there's another question here, just one more for now, which says, is there a way that you can start again with a new account if you need a new email address because maybe Google has penalised you or something's happened in the past? How would you recommend if someone needs to start again?
Well, to start with, I would check whether the domain name has been banned. If the warning you got was the whole domain was banned, then you'd need to move your domain name, your whole website name. If it's just the account that was banned, it's easy enough to start again. And if you had done a lot of work in the previous account and you don't want to actually start again from scratch, you can copy and paste it across. So there are tools available that allow you to copy an old campaign into a new account. So it means that you just quite simply start again, but without having to do any of the work.
Fantastic. There's a lot of questions
Anything
coming in.
else?
So what I'll do, if it's okay with you, Claire, what I'll do is if we take a note of all the questions and at the end of the presentation, maybe we can
Yeah.
answer them or you can get back to people if that's possible.
Yes, yeah, fantastic, no problem.
Fantastic.
Yeah, in fact, it's really lovely to be able to answer the questions. So, yeah, do carry on asking. It makes me feel a lot more, I love hearing from the audience. So that's great. Thank you. Okay, so let's now move over to the one essential task that you should be doing each week. This is the number one thing that I used to recommend my staff do at Marketing by Web. And it's quite simply called running a search query report. And you run it on a weekly basis. And it is where you would be focusing your time. If you've got just half an hour per week, then to work on your AdWords account, then it's where you should be focusing your time. It allows you to see exactly where your money's been spent and what keywords Google actually showed your advert for. And it's called a search query report. Now, it sounds complicated, but it's actually a lot easier than it sounds. So I'll demonstrate this shortly, but I just wanted to point out to you where it is, because of course you'll get the slide presentation at the end as well. So you just need to go to the Keywords tab. Okay. You would then need to set the date selector to the last 7 days. The first time you do this, you probably would want to set it to all time instead. And you would then finally want to, where it says search terms, set that to all. And then that will then show you all the keywords that you paid Google to be found for. So let's just go and take a look at a live example of that. Okay, so if I was to go to last 7 days, then click go. Okay, now I'm already in the keywords tab. I go to keyword details, click on all, and what then happens is you can see all of the keywords that you've been matched against. So it shows you all of the keywords. I can then sort it here. So this is the number of clicks that we've had. So if I wanted to sort it by the number of clicks, I would just click on the top of the column and it sorts it. Now, okay, that's all very well, but what do you want to use that information for? Okay, let's go back to the slide a minute. Do apologize. Okay, so what are you looking for in your weekly report? You're looking for the matched keywords that you could see you'd paid for that weren't relevant. So my favorite example is the time I was found when I was advertising Microsoft Excel courses and Google showed my advert for dog training because it thought it was close enough. So this was probably about 5 years ago, and I noticed in my search query report that I actually had dog training, that somebody had actually found the advert for dog training, and I then knew that I needed to add that as a negative keyword so that I didn't pay for somebody to visit again for such a silly word. Now, hopefully, when you go through the report, you'll identify lots of keywords that you want to, well, that you don't want to pay for. And these then need to be added as negatives, and that's found at the bottom of the keywords tab. Now, in an ideal world, I would add them as single negatives, such as free, dog, etc., wherever possible, because it just makes it easier to manage. Secondly, so as well as finding words you don't want to be found for to save your money, you also would use it to find new keywords you do want that Google's found for you. Because Google will have matched your advert against very similar keywords. Now, if you take these new keywords and add them back in as new ad groups, making the keyword the advert heading, of course, bearing in mind the earlier things we've looked at, then what will now happen is you're even more likely to get leads because you're the only one that's got those specific keywords in their advert. So you're even more likely to get the conversion and you're going to get even more leads. Okay. So next thing we're going to look at is how to create amazing adverts. So as I promised you, I'm going to show you how to write great adverts. These hints and tips, if you followed these, they would double your click-through rate overnight, which would, if you double your click-through rate, that will bring your quality score up because the two are very, very closely related. So double your click-through rate, your quality score will come up, which means your costs will come down and your leads and your sales will go up. So to start with, the basic one that I keep talking about. My first tip is that your keywords must go into the advert heading. So ideally nothing else in the heading, although I do sometimes sneak a price in there, especially if it's cheap, such as £1.99, something like that. So it means that you only have to make a decision what goes in the next 2 lines of your advert. So these 2 lines are known as description line 1 and description line 2. So I would suggest that you always write in title case. And title case is where you capitalize the first letter of each word. Now, why would you want to do that? It's because it's been statistically proven time after time to increase click-through rate. Lots of people don't like it. They think it looks odd. But I'm afraid when it comes to AdWords, you're just going to have to put up with it, because it really, really does work. So you write in title case. Something else that also works, this is my favorite tip, this really, really works, is asking questions. So even if you ask just a basic question such as looking for and then whatever you sell, question mark. So looking for AdWords training, looking for children's wear, looking for a locksmith in Bristol, anything like that. It really, really works because the person subconsciously answers the question with yes. You can also test adding the figures, adding any figures such as dates and numbers in. So if you've got prices that you could pop in there, then I would strongly suggest you pop them into line 2. You can see that in my example there, I've included some dates. So London, 13th and 14th of May. I've then included a call to action at the end with book now. So you could have book now or buy now or call now or something at the end. Now you should not include phone numbers. These are now banned. So your entire account will be at risk of being banned. If you have phone numbers in your adverts already, you need to go back and remove them because your adverts will soon be banned by Google. The entire account will be paused. All the adverts won't go live. This is because Google is making the move towards enhanced campaigns, where it's actually splitting it up, running on mobile phones and PCs, and they just don't want phone numbers in there anymore. So if they haven't already banned your account for having phone numbers, they will. So please do remove them. And do not, this is the number one thing that I see in AdWords I hate when people do, is do not include your company name. I see people with their company name as their heading. The AdWords advert is not about you. It's about it's about them. It's about what they're searching for. So please don't include your company name actually in the main advert. Okay, so those are my tips that should double your click-through rate if you follow those. Right, next thing we're going to go on to is identifying competitors that are clicking your adverts, and then the next thing we're going to come on to is how to stop them from clicking your adverts. So competitors can make or break your account. I know because I've been at the receiving end of competitors doing it, where they just click and click and click. And they will do it. And some of them, I swear, have got nothing better to do than to just try and take your budget for the day out. So you can stop them. This is the good news, is Google has a way of stopping them by getting their IP address. And it's a number that looks like that. So I've given an example on there. So you can use a tool that I recommend called Clicky, which is a free tool for the first website. And it's code that you install on the website. Your web designer would be able to do it. It's code that you need to put on the page, just like Google Analytics, so it has to go on every page of the site. Once it's been running a few days, you can then go and look at the most active visitors tab for suspicious repeated clicks and write down their IP address. So what I was going to do is just very quickly demonstrate that software to you. Okay. Okay, now the account I'm going to look in is my husband's account. My husband's a locksmith, which is one of the competitive areas that I have mentioned to some of the people before in some of my various blogs. So this is what Clicky looks like, and when I click on the name of the website, it then just takes me in like this. I'm going to change the date selector to the last 90 days. Okay, just waiting for the computer to catch up with me. Then I'm going to go to visitors. And I'm then going to go to most active visitors when the computer's caught up with me. I've got a feeling it's because I'm demonstrating at the same time. It's slowed down slightly. So if I go to most active visitors. Now, most active visitors is going to show me the people who've been on my site repeatedly. I'm hoping that I'm going to get a list of them very shortly. There we go. Okay, so it's listed by IP address. So we've got IP address 94.171.234.83 has been there 6 times. 86.136, blah, 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 etc. So I would then look at each IP address. If I clicked on each IP address one at a time, right, so you can let me do it for last 30 days. Let's try last 28 days. Then what you should then see, okay, apologies, I'm just going to run that report again in a minute. So most active visitors for the last 28 days. Okay. Bear with me a second, I do apologise. So we want most active visitors. There we go, that's better. Okay, so let's go and click on this one, which has been 3 times. And what I would look for is, you can see they've taken 6 actions on the site on the 23rd of April. 13th of April, they've taken 2 actions. I go through and I break it down. I look at each action they've taken. How long did they stay on the site? This one doesn't look very suspicious, to be honest. The suspicious ones are the ones where they only stayed 10 seconds because they are competitive clickers. They just click, then away they go. But if we imagine that this was an IP address that we actually wanted, then at this point what I would do is I would highlight that IP address and copy it. Okay, and I would then go and paste it into their account, or paste it into my account, into my AdWords account. So let me just go and take you into the right place where we would put it. Okay. So you go into the relevant account, you then go into the relevant campaign. Okay, so let's just choose a campaign. And we're then going to go into the settings for the campaign. So this is demonstrated to you on the next slide as well, so you will have this in the handout. I'm scrolling to the bottom of the settings, and you can see we've got something called IP exclusions actually within the campaign settings. So in IP exclusions, where it says manage IP exclusions, we click on edit. You can see I've got a big long list. I told you locksmiths was a competitive market, and I would then paste it in there, save it. Obviously in this case I'm not going to, so I will cancel that. And that person would now be blocked from actually seeing the AdWords adverts. They would actually think that I'd actually stopped advertising. So, you know, it's a fantastically powerful tool for shutting your competitors out. So you can see I've actually demonstrated that to you on slide number 25, which you will get in the handouts at the end. Okay, so something else I wanted to just show you, just as extra material, is how to actually look at the top adverts versus the right adverts. So what I mean by this, where it says campaign segment, is you can actually look in your account. So this is for the some of you are obviously more advanced with AdWords. So you can actually set up a segment that allows you to see if your adverts are doing better in the top 3 versus on the right hand side. Okay, and then we can also look at the search partners, which I will explain to you along the way. So let's just go and choose another account. Okay, I'm just going to take you back to one where we're going to have some data that's worth looking at here. Okay, well, I'm just going to set the date selected to all time. Okay, so you can see I'm in the campaigns tab. Can you see this option here that says segment? I'm going to click segment, then I'm going to click top versus other. Now this is going to allow you to see how your adverts perform if they're in the top 3, that's the cream coloured box, versus the right hand side, and there's 8 in the right hand side, well up to 8 in the right hand side. So let's just take a look. So this campaign, Google search top, we have the average position 1.6, cost per conversion if they're in the top 3 is £8.66, the conversion rate 4.96%. So that means that every lead they're receiving is £8.66. Okay, so that's £8.66 per every lead or every sale they're getting. And typically, nearly 5% of people that see it in the top 3 then convert. Now, Google search other then means on the right-hand side. So if they're on the right-hand side, you can see that conversions are nearly half as much and the conversion rate is far higher. So far more people buy or are likely to buy. The conversion rate's far higher if it's in the right-hand side. So I love that report. So I hope you like it as much as I do. Just to then show you the search partners. Search partners are they are other search engines such as Orange and Ask and things like that. They're left on by default, but you can turn them off. They are the other smaller search engines that borrow their results from Google, and you can actually turn them off if you want to, but you wouldn't want to unless you looked at a result like this, which is search partners. We're actually converting at far higher, £14.73 per every single lead, and a conversion rate far, far lower. Now in this case, what I would suggest you do is I would suggest you go to Settings, choose the relevant campaign, and where it says Networks, Google Search, I would click on Edit and then make sure that that box wasn't ticked. So it looks like this has already been done here. So make sure that that box is unticked if your results show you that the search partners are actually doing worse for you than the normal Google search network. Okay, so I hope you enjoy that report as much as I do. Let me just take you back to the presentation. Okay. So here's what you've learned today. Avoiding the top 3 mistakes that AdWords advertisers make. Matching your keywords to the advert. Don't have too many keywords per ad group. Examine and focus on your quality score. The report that you need to run every week to save cash and find new keywords. How to write really great adverts, and how to prevent your competitors from clicking or even viewing your adverts. So what I would suggest is you follow all of those, separate out your account into smaller groups, 1 keyword per ad group, 1 advert with a matching heading, and your click-through rate will at least double overnight. If you follow this, your quality score will then increase and your costs will drop by up to 50%. I would suggest that you work on your reports, your search query reports every week. Take out keywords that you don't want to be found for. Add in new keywords that you do want to be found for. Write better adverts and your click-through rate will increase. You'd be looking at typical click-through rates of 8, 9, 10%, sometimes even higher, and your costs will drop even further. Prevent your competitors from ever viewing your adverts, and there you have it. I hope you agree that I've taught you exactly how to more than double your AdWords return in less than 90 minutes. Okay, so I just want you to type quickly into the chat box, have I delivered what I promised you that you would learn? Okay, so if you could just type in a quick comment on what you've thought so far about what you've learned. Okay, so yeah, we've got a yes from Caroline Stone. That's lovely, thank you, Caroline. Anybody else? I can't see the questions box at the moment, actually, I must admit, Steve. Okay, fantastic. So I'm not sure why you showed up today. It could be because your AdWords account simply wasn't making money. Right, okay, apparently we just had lots and lots of responses just come in. That's lovely, thanks for letting me know. Yep, Matthews, Fran, Greg, Yeah, that's lovely. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Okay, so it could be because your AdWords account wasn't making money. It could be because you're expanding and you want to set up a new AdWords account to bring in leads. It could be because you recognize that offering AdWords management as a service is a great revenue stream. So I've developed an online training course that contains at present 29 videos and more being added each week, with step-by-step processes and instructions and regular lifetime updates to keep it up to date, because AdWords is always changing. Okay, so I'm going to start talking about my offer now, but even as I do, I'm going to make sure I keep including lots of content and useful hints and tips, so things that you're going to need to know about AdWords along the way. So I would show you exactly which keywords to bid upon. I show you a keyword pathway that allows you to get inside visitors' heads to understand which keywords will result in buyers and which won't. This is really important. Some of the keywords you're bidding on at the moment may not be relevant for your business, because some of them might be for bigger advertisers, some of them might be people aren't thinking to buy, they are researching, they're not buying keywords. Stealing your competitors' keywords and adverts. So this is a massive shortcut to setting up your account. I show you exactly how to use tools to get the keywords that work for competitors and the adverts that are currently working for them. This is the best way to setting up a new account that works from day one, as your competitors have already done the hard work for you. I love doing that, I must admit. And during my courses, it's everybody's favourite bit is downloading the keywords that competitors are bidding on. How to track your results. So how to set up conversion tracking so you track leads and sales through your website, and how to track phone calls you receive as a result of the campaign. And yes, you can track phone calls. This is so important. Without conversion tracking, it's called optimizing blind, as you simply cannot see what's working and what isn't. Tools to build hundreds of ad groups fast. So I've been asked about this a couple of times. I demonstrate a tool that will allow you to build hundreds of ad groups for your keywords. No more stuffing them together in one group. I show you a tool that allows you to create them with ease and practice offline, because it's actually an offline tool. And it allows you to make it far faster to manage your account, and it's the main tool that you'll use to keep your weekly time to under half an hour. Keywords that bring in leads. So I show you how to pick the keywords that actually work for you. How to create amazing adverts. So we've covered some of the hints and tips today for creating really good adverts, but there's lots of others, lots of other hints and tips and examples of how to create adverts that I include. How to set up adverts just for mobile phones and just for iPads. So you can actually set up ads that only appear on phones, and that actually then when somebody clicks on it, the only thing that they can do with it is call you. So this is fantastic for shutting competitors out. I love this one, especially for like locksmiths, electricians, plumbers, people like that, because it is ideal if people are searching on a mobile phone and they want to call you straight away. And then it's kept up to date with all of the latest changes. So this is going to be updated on a weekly and monthly basis with all of the latest changes, everything that happens in AdWords. And then we also have a Facebook networking group where you can network with like-minded people. Okay, so if you'd like to learn exactly how to set up your AdWords account step by step, and then what to do on an ongoing basis, it does come with immediate bonuses to make sure that the system works for you. So you get a private call with me that can be booked at any time to discuss your account. You get 6 audits where we will examine your account, identify what's working and what isn't. A website and a landing page critique, just in case it's that's letting you down, so you want to check whether that's letting you down or not. And I will examine your site and point out exactly where you're going wrong. And then, of course, your private Facebook group where you can network with like-minded people and ask questions and get them answered. Okay, so the course is guaranteed for 12 months, and I understand that it is a risk. Many of you on the call haven't met me before, so I am offering a full year, 12-month satisfaction guarantee in case you're unhappy with any aspect of the course. So what else do I get? You would get a fast action bonus for the first 15 people to sign up. I have created Excel templates that I personally developed that I use on a daily basis to create hundreds of ad groups within minutes. And then there's also videos that show you how to use them as well. And then a new unannounced bonus that I've just added in today, I'm going to add in an extra webinar for all of those who buy within the next 48 hours, where it's going to be an hour-long webinar. I'm going to let you watch over my shoulder while I set up a brand new AdWords account step by step in the processes, and I'll talk you through my thoughts, etc., for how I would set it up. Okay, so here it is. Okay, the price is webleadsunlimited.com. The price is £397 plus VAT for the entire course with all the bonuses and the lifetime updates. And then there's also an instalment option if you'd rather pay £127 a month for 4 months. And it's on the site webleadsunlimited.com. I'm just going to take you to go and show you the site. Okay, so the site looks like this. Okay, so I explain all of the different things that you get that I've talked you through today. And then if you do decide to order, you can see that there's some order buttons here called Get Access Now that will actually take you through to PayPal, and you can then go through and order it. If you wanted the installment option, then that's further down. So we've got the single investment option here, and then the monthly installment option here. Okay, let me just take you back in. Okay, so just a quick reminder of what you get. You get step-by-step instructions for setting your account up, all the processes you need for managing your account in half an hour per week, videos showing each step, so they're step-by-step videos, and there's 29 of them in there at the moment, but as I said, I am adding more and more all the time, so it's all of the steps that you need to know. It's updated continuously each month. You can get all of your questions answered, so you get your private session with me, which will be over the phone, 6 AdWords audits, so that would allow me to take a look at your account and point out to you, like, you would get better results here, etc. So anything that you need to do to improve. Your website and your landing page critique, and your private Facebook group to network and ask questions. Okay, so webleadsunlimited.com. So here it is. Okay, so then just a reminder about the bonuses. A fast action bonus for the first 15 to sign up. So that's the templates that I use daily to create hundreds of ad groups within minutes, and the videos that show you how to use them. And these have actually been being used by some of my course delegates. One of my delegates was using it recently, and I think she set up about 500 ad groups within a few minutes. And they are very, very quick and easy. It's the answer to how to set up ad groups really, really fast. And then also the extra webinar where I will show you me setting up an AdWords account step by step, talk you through my thought processes, etc. So there you go. It's $397 plus VAT. It's webleadsunlimited.com. There's also an instalment option, £127 per month for 4 months. And there is my full guarantee, which is a 12-month guarantee in case you're unhappy with any aspect of the course, and then you get all your money back. So in case you realise it's not right for you for any reason, don't worry, we will refund you. Okay, so for the final time before we get ready to close, everything you need to get your account set up properly and managed in half an hour per week, and update so you stay on top of the constant changes, your fast action bonus for the first 15 to sign up, the exact Excel templates I use daily, and your extra unannounced bonus, watch over my shoulder while I set up an AdWords account, step by step. Okay, right now before I take questions on the presentation, We'll do those in a couple of minutes. If you've got any questions related to the offer, related to webleadsunlimited.com, if you could pop them into the questions box, and then Steve, if you could keep a record of any questions that we've got relating to the content, then I will answer those as well shortly. Okay, and I'm happy to stay here until we've got no more questions, until you're all happy. Okay, so thank you, and over to you for questions. So over to you, Steve.
Wow, Claire, thank you very much. Thank you. What an amazing webinar. Has everyone got value from that? Can you just raise your hands on your attendee list and just let us know? I don't know if you can see that, Claire, but that's going up quite quickly.
Right, okay, fantastic.
In fact, a comment has just come in from Ollie, and he says he's just made one little update from what you've mentioned during the webinar, and he's already got a sign up directly from that update.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. Thank you for that, Ollie. Thank you for sharing that. That's brilliant.
Wow, so I've got 117 questions for you. But I've managed to narrow them down. So what I suggest, if we go through a few main ones now, if that's okay, and then maybe
we'll stick to the ones related to the
offer
offer first, and then we'll go on to the main content ones afterwards.
Fantastic. So Fran's asked a question. She said she's a little bit concerned that there may be an immediate barrier to purchase. Is there anything you can do to help maintain the commitment to the course?
I'm not entirely, I don't really understand the question. When she says commitment to the course, I mean, I must admit, I'm not too sure what that question means. Do you mean spending the time to get it completed? Is that right, Fran?
Just waiting for a reply on that one. I shall go through.
I mean, okay, if I just carry on I'll carry on answering what I think the question is. I mean, the videos themselves will take you a morning to sit down and go through, and you can then start going through the template and get the account set up within, a very short period of time once you've done the keyword research. And from then on, once you've watched the videos, it would just be a case of every week spending half an hour or so maintaining it.
I'm just going through to find some more questions for you. At the moment, everyone's just telling me they're signing up.
Oh, fantastic.
Bear with me.
Fran, if I've not answered your question, Fran, then do email me afterwards. My email was the one that was that all the emails came out from today. Hopefully you saw the reminders about it, so do reply to that, and I'll answer yours privately if it was a more in-depth answer needed.
Okay, here we go. Fran has replied. Let me just reply to this. She said it's a fantastic concept, but she's just concerned it requires a lot of time. I think that was what her concern was over the 12-month period.
Right, okay, I see. Well, in an ideal world, if you find the time to sit down, I can't help you, unfortunately, with finding the time to literally sit down and watch it. I have got some people who have watched it bit by bit, because I can see them on Clicky when they're logging in. I do monitor my attendees, my course attendees, the people who've bought it already. I can see that typically they're logging in for around about 20 or 30 minutes at a time. I've got a few that log in and sit down and watch the whole course all in one go. But the majority are logging in for half an hour at a time, making a few changes to AdWords accounts here and there, making the type of changes that Ollie's just mentioned, like tweaks here and tweaks there. And then once the account is set up, or once you've done the initial keyword research stage, which you would do from the competitor research, then you should have a list of, say, 2,000 keywords, for example, that you wanted to set up. You would pop that into the spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet would then allow you to set up 2,000 ad groups within half an hour. I can pretty much guarantee that's how long it'll take you. This spreadsheet is that fast. It's how we used to do entire account builds in my AdWords marketing agency, was using this spreadsheet. And from then on, you just set the account live, and from then on all you need to do is just the weekly monitoring and the weekly tweaking, which is ideally, if you've got a few minutes a day, then that would be ideal. If you can fit in half an hour a week as a block, that's the amount of time we used to allocate per client for our agency. It was half an hour per week. With larger accounts, maybe 2 hours per week. With Names, the company I'm currently consulting with, I'm spending a day per week there at the moment, obviously because the budget's far higher. So, I mean, you should be able to find the time. You know, these are all time-saving methods to allow you to do your own AdWords.
I don't know, Claire, if you find this as well. But what I've noticed with AdWords is it becomes part of like a game where you start. What can I do next? Just what's that one little tweak I can do? And it actually becomes part of my daily routine now on what else I can do to improve and increase.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always, well, there's always new things, new features being developed, and obviously that's why I love AdWords so much, because it's, you know, it's such fun to stay on top of the new changes, and there's always improvements that they're making to the system, like dividing it up for mobiles and iPads, and making it so that you can have mobile specific adverts, and making it so that you could click to call from a mobile phone. I mean, oh, I love it. There's so many amazing things you can do with it.
So we have another question here, and someone's asked, is there any way that this course would work towards becoming AdWords certified?
That's an excellent question. In fact, I do answer part of it actually within the course as well. So basically, I get lots of people ask me this before they come on the course. And what I would say is it's like taking your GCSE maths. Is I will show you how to get an AdWords account up and running and making money for clients, for you or for clients. So if you're going to do this as a profession, then it will work for you. But at the end of the day, I don't teach you the actual theory for passing your GCSE maths exam, you know, for passing your AdWords exam. What I teach you is the basics of how to get it working, and so that your clients will be happy, so that it's making money. If you then want to take exams, I do then include a link in the materials, which is a company called iPass Exam, that then is just basically exam prep and nothing but exam prep. It's literally, that's all they do is, and then it's just multiple choice.
Excellent, fantastic. Claire, there's another couple of questions here. I'm just trying to keep on top of these as they come in. I
Okay.
believe this one's from Sanji. I hope I pronounced that right. Apologies if I haven't. But it says, for a small VA business with not a great deal of a budget, will it work on something, say, for £200 a month? Is this a course that they can use? This is from someone that's just signed up to your course.
Right, okay. So they're spending £200 a month. What industry was it in, sorry?
It says for a small VA business. That's all I've got on the question, Sanjay. I don't know if you can clarify on that,
Small.
on what
Small VA
industry.
business, yeah, virtual assistant business, isn't it? Okay, what you would need to do is £200 a month is manageable to at least get through your first clients, and then you would start getting through bigger clients, and then of course it would then become self-funding. So that's the idea. So £200 a month, you definitely need to learn this yourself, because you definitely cannot afford to be paying an AdWords company to do it. So actually that's absolutely perfect for, you know, for the course. So what you would do is very careful keyword research and identify as many long tail keywords as possible. Those are the keywords that aren't just one or two keywords. They might be something like virtual assistant company, freelance, for example, something like that. So it's 3 or 4 words long. So you do your keyword research, identify keywords that are very long tail, and you bid only on those, with ideally with exact matches, which is explained to you in the course. And you bid only on those keywords. You start getting leads in from those very specific ones, and then over time you can then start to bid on the shorter tail keywords, because you're making more money from it. Does that make sense?
Brilliant. I think that's answered that. That's fantastic. Thank you, Claire. I've got one more question here regarding the offer, which just says, what would happen if you've already got the AdWords set up to a slightly advanced level? Would the spreadsheet still work with it?
Absolutely. In fact, the reason I'm laughing is because when I originally launched the course, the spreadsheet is the main reason why I have people buying it that are interested. They're interested in becoming AdWords managers because it is the number one method for being able to manage advanced campaigns, because it's the only way of setting up hundreds or thousands of campaigns in minutes. So in fact, the spreadsheet is specifically aimed at the more advanced.
Fantastic. I've seen a lot of people that have said that you've given such amazing content tonight. It's gone a little bit over their heads. So there's quite a few people that are asking if this will be available, the recording, for them to listen back to or to watch again. If that's something that you'll be making available for them.
Right, okay, as long as you and I can get the webinar uploaded properly, then I can't see why we can't make that available. So we've not yet discussed that, Steve. I can't see why not for people.
Absolutely. As long as people have a way to get into contact with you, as long as people know how to contact you for that, then we'll, as soon as this is finished, we'll make sure that we get this uploaded and we'll get the link to people so that they can download it.
Yes, well, I think probably the easiest thing to do is to say to people, because I've got all of their email addresses from the system because I've been sending them reminders,
Fantastic.
is I will email around a link to all of the people that attended, and they'll then be able to watch it. I think that's probably the easiest thing, isn't it, Steve? If I email group.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. We'll get that set up straight away as soon as I've finished here. So that was most of the questions regarding the offer. There's a few questions if you'd like to go through them about AdWords themselves.
Yes, of course, yes.
So one of the main ones that's come up from quite a few people is regarding dynamic keyword insertion.
Right, okay, yes.
One of the questions here just says, can we use dynamic keyword insertion for the ad group so that all the words that are typed are then matching straight away? And does this affect the quality score?
Oh, do you know what? I hate dynamic keyword insertion with a vengeance. I really, really hate it. And the reason I hate it is because it's so easy to accidentally use it wrong. Because if you think about it, if you haven't got a really long list of negative keywords, you're going to be being matched against loads of really random things. So back to my example about dog training earlier. If I didn't have the word dog as a negative, dog training would actually be dynamically inserted into my advert, and people would think my advert was actually about dog training. So dynamic keyword insertion I regard as very, very dangerous, and the only time I ever suggest people use it is for a really big long list of product codes. I've had two people on my courses who I've said, yes, I would suggest you use it, and that was when they had really long lists of products that people would search for HG12345. It was just, there was just no point in setting up several 100,000 part numbers, so it just made more sense to do it that way. But no, I strongly dislike dynamic keyword insertion, and I've noticed that some advert agencies use it as, I regard it as a lazy form of account management. Ideally, don't be lazy, just split it up into as many groups as possible with one keyword or at most a couple of keywords in every ad group with matching adverts every time.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. So straight on to the next one now. It says, I notice that a lot of people have articles in the footer of their websites. Does this affect the quality score of a keyword? Having an article or having things in the footer section of a website, It
doesn't. No, having anything on the landing page doesn't affect the quality score at all. Quality score for the landing page is just, they'll check if your page isn't spammy, and that's about it. So lots of people, I get asked this a lot, how relevant is the landing page? The answer is, not at all. It used to be years ago, so that's where this urban myth still resides, where it comes from. But no, it's not at all relevant these days.
Fantastic. Just a couple more questions on that from Adrian, Luke, and Eleanor. They're asking, how can they find their quality score? How do you know if it's low? And what's the score based on?
Right, okay, now I did cover those questions during all of those questions were covered during the webinar. So where to find quality score, I covered where to find it because I showed you how to actually go to keywords and customize columns, then actually adding it in as a new column so you'd be able to see it. And then the score between 1 and 10, I then also on one of my slides covered the fact that if the score was 5, then that was basic. That was what you were aiming for. That was like your kind of control. And then if you got it up to 10, then you get a discount on every single click of 50%. So hopefully all of that will be answered in the recording if you missed that bit for any reason.
Perfect. One question here: is there a way that you can get around copyrighted keywords? So if a keyword's copyrighted, is there anything you can do?
Yes. Unfortunately, if a keyword is copyrighted, you can't include it in the advert, as I'm sure you're probably aware if you've tried it. But what you can try doing is in the domain name where it says display URL, so we didn't mention that today, but the display URL where it says www.mywebsitename.com, something like that, is at the end of your website name, you can put a / and you can then put the trademarked keyword there at the end of the domain name. Now you can only do this if you've got a short domain name. So if mine was www.clairejarrett.com / I would be able to get away with putting iPhone or iPad even though it's trademarked. So I'd be able to do that, and that's the only place I can put it is in the display URL.
Fantastic. I think there's a lot of people that have been asking that question, so I think that's really helped.
Right, okay.
Another question here: do services like Applegate that claim to reduce your Google ad spend, do they actually work, and other services of a similar nature?
This is being recorded, so I don't want to get it around to them, so I will be very polite and say no. No, in my belief they don't, so I won't go any harsher than that.
That's fine.
No, it's my belief that at the end of the day, nobody is better at managing your own AdWords account than you are, because you understand your own products and services far better than they ever will. And you're the only one that cares enough to actually take the time to go through your search query reports regularly, to write adverts based on what you know your unique selling points are. So unfortunately, no, I don't believe that these services that claim to reduce your spend, none of them are as good as managing it yourself.
Fantastic. One other thing that's just come in here, I've just noticed, Adrian, I just want to make sure I got this question right. I think it's the account quality score that people are looking for. I don't know.
Now account quality score is a secret. Google hold it a secret. So it's not my secret that I'm not telling you I'm going to show you. It's Google's secret. There is no way you can tell your account quality score, unfortunately. It's one of those things that they keep hidden. So there's no way of being able to tell, unfortunately.
Right.
But it does exist.
So they tell us.
Yes.
So how do you find out what your prospective client is searching for in regarding keywords?
I would start off with basic keyword research tools, such as the Google AdWords keyword tool, and you just quite simply type in the name of one of your products and services. So mine, for example, would be AdWords courses, and then I would find what Google comes back with. And Google's keyword research tool, well, it has long lists of keywords that it knows are related, so it would come back with hundreds of related keywords. And that would be a good starting point.
Fantastic. Just two more questions I've got here. One is there any reason that you favour Clicky over Google Analytics, or do you use Google Analytics as well?
That's a great question. I use both. And what I say is that Google Analytics provides quantitative data and Clicky qualitative. So what I mean by that is Google Analytics is great for telling me that 50 people all exited at this page and the bounce rate was 3%, so it's fantastic for figures. Whereas with Clicky, what I can do is I can spy on people in real time. So if I launch an AdWords campaign, I can spy on them and actually see what they're doing on the site live. So I can see in case there's any mistakes. I can also look to see retrospectively what pages they clicked on. So as I showed you with the competitors earlier, so what pages people clicked, where they went, the landing page they came in on originally, the exit page they left at, and it allows me to pick a particular visitor and look at their pathway. So, well, like I said, I use it for qualitative data so that I can spot problems with the site, etc.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, there's a few more questions, but just the one that I wanted to get over here was I'm just trying to find it now. There's a lot of people just trying to get this question to cover all of them because they're similar. There's a lot of people that have got multiple campaigns going with lots of keywords. And one of the questions here says, I've been working on a new campaign with about 40 ad groups. And the way that they've added it, they think what you've said's thrown them. Do they only need to add one keyword per group, or should they have multiple keywords?
Ideally, add just one. Yes, ideally one ad group per one keyword per ad group. Yes,
Fantastic. And that, I
and then
think that's
just create
covered a lot of
lots.
brilliant. And another question that's just come in, just going to quickly get this one to you. It says, do you cover display network and remarketing in your course? And if so, how advanced does it go?
Display network, yes, it's covered with the basics of setting up a test campaign. Remarketing, yes, that's covered. How to set it up so that it follows people around the web, how to add the remarketing tags and how to set up the adverts, yes. But display network, the advanced tactics, that's going to be one that's being added further on down the line. So 2 of them are added at the moment, but then there's 1 to follow.
Fantastic. I think if you're happy, Claire, I think that's been fantastic value. We're on 2 hours now. So I think if everyone's happy and you're happy, I think that's been fantastic. And thank you ever so much.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you everybody for being here, and it was yeah, you've been a lovely audience. Thank you.